It's mid-April 2023, and I spent the night at this lovely dispersed campsite up on Mount Lemmon in southern Arizona. It's getting hot at the lower elevations, so I came up here in our Winnebago Revel to cool off and enjoy the mountains and the trees. And it's a different landscape than you're used to seeing altogether in southern Arizona. I rolled in pretty late last night, so I relied on the iOverlander app to find a quiet place to camp. And this is good. It checks most of the boxes. It's the only dispersed campsite along this forest road, and it's adjacent to some dumpsters. There's structures up the hill and down the hill. And the campsite itself is perched atop a ledge on the hillside, and there's only enough room for one vehicle. It was definitely quiet last night. The road ends just a short distance beyond this point, so there wasn't any traffic. Although charming, there's not a lot to do at this particular spot, and I have a feeling there's a lot more to see up on Mount Lemmon, so I'm going to hit the road and do some exploring. Despite all the time we've spent in southern Arizona over the past couple years, this is my first time up on Mount Lemmon. And I have to say that I'm embarrassed that it took so long because it is extraordinary up here. It's fairly high traffic, so there's a lot of people out enjoying the scenery, hiking, cycling, camping. It's definitely a destination down here because it's beautiful and it's a great place where you can escape the desert heat. The road up into the mountains is stunning. It's a paved highway that rivals many of the scenic byways that you might encounter in a national park. There are dozens of scenic overlooks along the route, so it's a great destination for a Sunday drive. There's a lot of cyclists and a lot of tourists, so make sure you pay attention to the road. But don't hesitate to stop and admire the view at every chance you get. Now I'm up in the higher elevations exploring forest roads. And these roads are rough, but they're not exactly primitive. There are a lot of vacation cabins in the area, but I already found a couple of decent dispersed campsites suitable for the van, so it doesn't seem like you have to dig very deep to find good camping up here. So what's going on, Chris? 1 week you're out exploring in RNG, the next you're in the van, one episode you have music, the next episode you don't, one episode you're fixing the Land Rover, another episode you're advertising photography services. If it looks like I'm floundering, you're right, because I'm trying to figure out how to do venture forward while being stationary. Being a homeowner, I live in one place, I occupy a region. For the last several years, thanks to you, I've made my living by traveling in a vehicle full-time and making videos about my adventures. I'm endlessly grateful for that opportunity, and it's been an amazing experience, but I've wondered if I want to not live in a vehicle full-time. How do I do that? How do I adapt to venture forward to continue to make it interesting, but not be a full-timer? So last year happened, the passing of my mom, my broken foot, and over Thanksgiving, something just snapped. And I've said this before, on the flight back to Phoenix, I decided to look at Zillow the moment we hit the ground. I really did not want to spend one more night living in a vehicle in a full-time context. I wanted a place to go home to. I was ready. So weeks later, we found our new home, we jumped through the hoops, and we made it happen. And I'll be honest with you, I am very, very happy. If you've been following Venture Forward from the beginning, you know that superficially it's about overland travel and four-wheel drive adventure. But under that facade, if you will, Venture Forward has been a journey. It came to be because I was lost, I was depressed, and extremely unhappy. I was recently divorced, I was struggling with my career, and out of an act of desperation, I simply left. I started traveling in my Jeep and making videos without a plan and without much money. I'm going to try something new for 2017. There's a lot of adventure on the horizon this year, so I'm going to start a YouTube channel and kind of keep a video blog. Very, very honest, very raw. That's just going to allow me to share my experiences with you. So nothing really happening yet, except I just installed this YouTube app, which I'm trying now, and I set up a channel specifically for Venture Forward. Okay, I'm going to try something a little bit different. Starting today, I'm going to set off on the road and work as an independent contractor for web development and photography and content provider, whatnot, whatever I can do to sustain myself. And I'm going to make video clips like this so that you can follow along and see what trials and tribulations that I might be going through, and also see any cool stuff that might happen along the way. But I'm nervous. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a vacation, but it's definitely going to be an adventure. When I set off on this journey many months ago, I didn't aspire to be a successful YouTube producer or anything like that. I enjoy telling the story and sharing it with you guys. I enjoy the photography, the videography. I love collecting experiences and passing that along to you. But that was never really my aim. I'm searching for something, and I haven't found it yet, but I've come close. I feel like I'm getting closer. Stepping out my front door, leaving in the Jeep, and making these videos has changed my life entirely. And I'm very lucky that you started watching Venture Forward, that you enjoyed it, that I was able to make a living doing it. And right now, with all these weird different videos, I'm just trying to figure out how to best keep it going without living in a vehicle full time. That's the bottom line. I love my new home. I want to plant a garden. I want to paint the spare room. I'm converting a large closet into an office or a studio. There's all kinds of really cool things that I want to do. And this new house is my current adventure. If you take away anything from this story, if you're having a tough time in life, or maybe you just need a change of scenery, Don't be afraid to take a leap into the unknown. They say leap and a net will appear, and in my experience, that is exactly what happened. Shannon and I recently got bicycles, and mine is an entry-level Trek hardtail mountain bike. I did this not necessarily to get into cycling, although I hope that I do. I did it more so as a way to get exercise and to try to stay fit, because after I broke my foot last year, I've been considerably less active. My foot feels a lot better now, but I'm definitely not as confident and as sure-footed as I used to be. At least for the moment, I'm not that enthusiastic about strenuous hikes or running, and since we live in a very bicycle-friendly place, I thought this makes a lot of sense. So right now I'm not sure exactly how much cycling you're going to see. But I will say that I grew up in the 1980s and my friends and I lived by our bicycles. We grew up in the time of the Goonies and E.T. and we had our BMX bikes and we terrorized suburbia. So I will say in my midlife years I haven't spent much time riding, but riding a bike is something you never forget. It's like riding a bike. Well, I broke my mount. So that's all of that footage we're gonna have. I like that mount. Alright, I'm out for a bike ride on a road that I would normally traverse by four-wheel drive, and I broke the clamp mount for my GoPro. So now I have to try to share this experience while holding the camera. But this is nice. Let's see if I can ride and hold my camera at the same time. No, that's not working. Here is the beautiful place. There's a small stream down there with some waterfalls. I'm out of shape, but I can still get into it. So the van is just down that hill. I'm gonna go back to camp, and now that I've exercised, I'm gonna have chips and queso. This queso is a little bit runny, but the flavor is great. It's salsa con queso with jalapenos and tomatoes from Sprouts. And the chips are Alejandro's Tortilla and Bakery, a Southern Arizona tradition since 1980. Not sponsored. It is so quiet out here tonight, and the temperature is perfect. This is wonderful. I could hear owls in the distance down the mountain. Another decent dispersed campsite further down the mountain from where I camped last night. I'd be reluctant to bring the van down this step right here, but smaller vehicles should have no problem. It's flat, it's sandy, there's a primitive stone fire ring, and great views to the southeast. I think the van would be able to traverse this, but the thing is, you want to be absolutely sure. If you're wrong, you could be camping here for a while. Well, I am down off the mountain and the wind just picked up. One moment it was dead calm and then I was eating my sandwich. Next thing you know, I was about to lose the awning. All right, so this was my very first experience with Mount Lemmon, and I have to say, I totally recommend it. But I would separate it into two sides. One side of the mountain is better for tourism and outdoor recreation, and the other side of the mountain is better for overland travel and vehicle-supported adventure. So if you're interested in sightseeing, hiking, organized camping, or cycling, come up the front side of the mountain from Tucson. It's mostly paved and it's beautiful. If you want to get off the beaten path in your four-wheel drive vehicle, either come up from Tucson and drive over the mountain to the northeast, or come in from the northeast, which is where I'm at now, and there's a long winding forest road, the same road that I came down this morning, that will take you up to the top of the mountain the back way. There are great dispersed campsites along the way, very quiet and secluded. The route is scenic and suitable for nearly any four-wheel drive vehicle. Although there were a couple rough spots where you might have to take great care if your vehicle has relatively low ground clearance. It's 2 days later and I'm back at home base in the driveway, and it looks like I already got my replacement arm. It's a SMALLRIG arm, I think they call it a magic arm, and what we learned this past week was to not over tighten the center knob. I was riding over the bumps and the angle of the GoPro kept changing. So I would get off the bike, I'd tighten it a little bit more, get off again, tighten it more, until it eventually snapped. I am definitely at fault for over tightening this. I was moving in haste, just tightening things randomly, and you really don't need to crank on this that much. I love this thing. Clamp on this end, GoPro on this end, loosen the center knob, it articulates freely, tighten the center knob, and everything becomes nice and snug. Glad that I got the replacement so quickly. I'm going to call that a wrap for the week, but if you'd like to retrace my steps and experience the places that I've been for yourself, my detailed GPS data is available to Patreon subscribers and also to paid members of Venture4WD.com. And thank you everyone for watching. Whether you're watching for the first time or you've been watching Venture Forward from the beginning, I appreciate it, especially right now as I'm trying to figure things out. I love making these videos, I love what I do, but I also love my new home, and I think it's simply a matter of getting into a rhythm and figuring out what the ideal workflow should be. We've only lived here 4 months, and it already feels like a lifetime, but I'm definitely still adapting. But thank you for watching, I appreciate your support, and I'll see you next week.